Just gonna start this video out by saying I got my editing situation figured out. We're back to normal and let's go. What's going on YouTube? Today I bring you my number 4 power rank team for the 2021 NFL season, and as you saw by the title, that is the Buffalo Bills. And like I said, guys, school's gonna make the videos a little bit less, but we're gonna get adjusted, and I'm gonna try to get back to more. At the very least, I want to try to do every other day, but if it has to be, every 3 days or whatever, so be it. But for right now, let's get into the Buffalo Bills, and obviously them being in here at number 4, they're a Super Bowl contender. I'd say probably, 5th and up are the Super Bowl favorites, and the Bills are the first AFC team to be on here. This is a scary team. As you obviously know, but this is a scary team. Starting off with quarterback, Josh Allen enjoyed a gigantic breakout year last year. Now, I have seen some people who, they've brought up the idea of, regression and stuff, and people just, scoff at that and, instantly wipe it off. I would not be terribly surprised if Josh Allen regresses. That doesn't mean he's just going to drop out of being a top 10 quarterback or anything, but I would not be, well, he definitely could. That's the thing, is he could drop into more of that that top 15 area. I don't expect it to. I think Josh Allen will remain as, one of the elite quarterbacks next year, but I would not be surprised if he doesn't, because the jump that we saw from year 2 to year 3 was honestly quite incredible for Josh Allen. So, it's just, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't expect it to come. Mitch Trubisky was dicing up the Bears defense, so I think they got themselves a pretty solid backup there. Also a really smart move by the Bills, because, Mitch Trubisky signs a contract somewhere, you get a compensational pick. Compensatory? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mitch Trubisky, smart move by them. Davis Webb, whatever. Jake Fromm, Georgia, not really coming for Josh Allen's job, obviously. Regardless, Bills quarterback situation, doing A+, okay. Running back, Devin Singletary, he's not your guy. And that's mainly because Zach Moss is. The running game has been a bit of an issue in Buffalo, and Josh Allen has definitely made up for it being a bit of an issue. But, I like Zach Moss. I think he is the Bills' future running back. Just wait for him to get going. Be patient. It might take a little bit, but I think Zach Moss will be a dominant running back when he gets going. But for right now, Devin Singletary, whatever, is your starter. Matt Breida, some decent depth. It's still one of the worst rooms in the NFL right now, just because Singletary, he's not your guy. Moss, he might get going this year, still might not get going this year. And Breida is kind of getting up there in age a little bit, as far as I know, unless I'm just saying something wrong there. But as far as that, he's whatever depth, regardless. So, running back, not nearly as good as the A+ I gave the quarterback. It's going to be a D+ because of the upside, but not a very good room right now. At receiver, back to good stuff, Stefon Diggs. Now, really, on paper, this is not that good of a receiving room, but it is. Stefon Diggs, obviously, leading receivers in passing yards last year. People, stop saying Josh Allen made Stefon Diggs. Stop saying Stefon Diggs made Josh Allen. They both had fantastic years. Shut up. Stefon Diggs, elite. There's, this section of Twitter, or, not Twitter, TikTok. God forgive me, I'm on TikTok. There's this section on TikTok that just hates Stefon Diggs and also hates DeAndre Hopkins, but loves Michael Thomas. And obviously, if you watch me, you know that I do not agree with that. And Stefon Diggs, I love him, great receiver, elite. Cole Beasley, not the best, not the best receiver in the world. put aside his, his opinion on the vaccine and everything, he's a solid number 2 receiver. He does work every year. When he's on the field, he does work. He's good. He's solid. They brought over Emmanuel Sanders from the Saints, and he brings some decent depth, but really, I don't know why Gabriel Davis is listed as their number 2 here. Gabriel Davis, I think, is going to have a breakout year. Now that John Brown's gone, I feel like Gabriel Davis probably takes over, for his kind of role, and John Brown always was pretty solid for them, so I think Gabriel Davis could definitely be better than John Brown, so I really like him. I think he's going to enjoy a breakout year this year. Isaiah McKenzie just got hurt. We don't know for how long, but he's decent depth when he's there. Jake Kumerow, Aaron Rodgers' best friend. He's there. Otherwise, not really that much else to talk about. Isaiah Hodgins, whatever. But, like I said, on paper, it's not one of the best receiving units, but you do have, a top 5 receiver, a pretty solid number 2, a nice young guy that I think is ready to break out. And Sanders brings some decent depth over there. So overall, that wide receiver room is still really good. I'm going to give it an A. Not quite an A+, but it is still very good. Tight end, Dawson Knox. They're kind of trying to develop him. I think he can be their tight end of the future. But I don't think he'll ever be anything. I don't think he'll ever be top 10 or anything, but he can be solid enough. Jacob Hollister, Tommy Sweeney make up some okay depth. Tight end, not very good either, but again, obviously you have Josh Allen throwing you the ball, and it doesn't really matter when you have those receivers. Still just going to earn a C- for me right now, though. Fullback, Reggie Gilliam? Yes, Gilliam. I never even looked at that before. It's Reggie Gilliam. He is a solid fullback. I guess I give that a C+. Left tackle, Deion Dawkins. Pretty sure he earned himself a contract extension last year, and he is a solid tackle for the Bills there. Picking up Spencer Brown, who I was in love with out of the draft process. Now, they re-signed Darrell Williams, extended Deion Dawkins. So, really, I'm intrigued by the idea of putting in Spencer Brown into a guard position now. But, I don't know how well that would work out because, Spencer Brown's game is definitely about his athleticism, not his power. Even though he is a big guy, he's, his notable thing isn't his power. And so that was something I was kind of a little disappointed in, that he went to the Bills, because I truly thought he was a guy that could be special in the NFL. If he had the chance, and he's not really going to get that chance with the Bills. I just don't feel like guard is the position for him to play, really. Again, intrigued to at least try it out, but he's solid depth for him. And they also drafted Tommy Doyle, so they took 2 tackles when they had their 2 tackles for the future. So kind of intriguing moves, but when you're a team that's as good and deep as the Bills, why not just add some great depth? Either way, you have some great depth there. Especially just on that left tackle room in general, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna give it an A-. At left guard, John Feliciano. He's good. He's one of those guys that on paper is not that good, but then always ends up playing a bit better than normal. That obviously helps with Josh Allen being so mobile that even if he is pressured, can escape those sacks and stuff. So Feliciano, he's whatever. Depth is not good. So that'll get you a D+. At center, you got Mitch Morse, one of the better centers in the NFL. No one behind him, but, he is a pretty good center and helps out that interior there, so that's going to earn you a B. And at right guard, Cody Ford. I suppose you could start Ike Boettger. Correct me if that's wrong. Ike Boettger. At right guard, I'm pretty sure he started at left guard last year. They also brought in Forrest Lamp from the Chargers, who was not good, but I guess his depth, he's whatever. But for right now, we'll just assume Cody Ford starting. It's not a very good room, similar to left guard. It's not a good room. At least this one has some depth and some youth, which will bring it up a little bit, but still not very good, so I'll give it a C for right now. And then right tackle, Darrell Williams was pretty good last year. Similar case kind of to where he's not as good as people think, just because Josh Allen again so good at evading those sacks and stuff. But Darrell Williams still was really solid and probably the best member of this offensive line. So And you do have Bobby Hart, who is a solid backup there for the Bills. So I will give that room a B minus. B minus for right now. Well, that's a little low, isn't it? B plus, because Darrell Williams was still good. Like he wasn't really like. I wouldn't say he's solid. He was good at the very least, and Bobby Hart is a pretty good backup. So actually, yeah, I'll give that a B plus. Overall, this offense, I mean, it's pretty good. Obviously, I mean, Josh Allen was elite last year. You could expect a little bit of a regression maybe, but I don't personally. Running back, this could be Zach Moss's year, and then that adds a whole nother level to this offense. Receiving room is great. Tight end, they do have a nice athletic guy, even if he's not the best in the world. And the offensive line is pretty solid. They could definitely upgrade at guard, though. Regardless, it's a pretty good and scary offense. So now let's move on to the defense. And the defense definitely upgraded this offseason. It definitely didn't get any worse. You know, they maybe could have gone different directions. I would have really loved if J.J. Watt would have signed here. That would have been great. But for right now, at one defensive end, you got Jerry Hughes, who, you know, older veteran guy. He brings some nice presence there for the Bills. Does get some work done every season. Gregory Rousseau, who I was not very high on really at any point during the draft process, and then people kind of started to agree later on, you know, like he's just not as good as people thought. And I'm going to talk about it right now. Can people please shut up about Penei Sewell versus Greg Rousseau? Like, go look at the tape. Yes, I understand Greg Rousseau made a great play on Penei Sewell to get that sack, right? Literally go look at any other play from Penei Sewell this preseason. He's been near perfect. Like, that one sack was Penei Sewell's first, you know, or I don't know if it was his first play, but it was it was his first drive in 2 seasons at the opposite position. Like, and he lets up a sack to a dude that has freakishly long arms. That's not a bad play by Sewell. That's just, like, that's being in the wrong place against a guy that just knows how to use his athleticism. And Penei Sewell did not let him even get a pressure the rest of the time. So, can you people please calm down? It's the same exact case with both of them. Penei Sewell, we knew he was a bit more raw. Like, he's switching positions. He hasn't played in 2 years. Greg Rousseau, he's a guy that's always known how to use his athleticism. That's why he got a sack. Calm down. Greg Rousseau is not the next coming of freaking, you know, Bruce Smith. Like, it's Greg Rousseau. I don't expect much from him, really. He has that upside. Like, obviously, that was one of the things with him, is that he has just such extreme upside to where it was a good pick for the Bills. I just don't personally see he hits that upside. And, yeah, I get it. It was a good play, but that's what it was. It was a play. Penei Sewell was great the rest of the game. So, well, that he was in. And then Efe Obada, don't know who that is. So otherwise, I mean, Greg Rousseau, like, super high upside guy. Again, I did like the pick. Like, this is such a good team to where, like, you can take the risk on a guy like that. Jerry Hughes, a solid veteran player. I'll give that a B minus for right now. At defensive tackle, Star Lotulelei, I think is how you say it. He's pretty solid. I mean, you saw, you know, this Bills defense had a few pieces missing at times last year, and Star was one of those players, and they were a little underwhelming last year without him. And so I think he's really actually one of the more important players to this defense, even if he really doesn't show, like, if he's not really known for it. But he is an important piece. Ed Oliver really hasn't broken out yet. He's just kind of not been what they were hoping. I thought maybe they'd use him as more of a defensive end role, but I guess they're still using him as that defensive tackle, which I think is kind of playing him out of position. Vernon Butler, Harrison Phillips, Brandon Bryant bring some nice depth here, but, you know, it's just Ed Oliver, not really breaking out yet. I do like Star, but, like, the rest is just, it's decent depth. So this room, it just comes off as very meh to me. It could definitely be better, even though it's deep. But, you know, there is a bit of youth here. Star is a bit better than people give him credit for. So I'll give it a C+. At the other defensive end room, Mario Addison, Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be the best starter in the world. I do love the depth here, though. I was really high on AJ Epinesa coming out of Iowa. I still think he is their defensive end in the future there. But someone that could definitely put up competition against that is Boogie Basham out of Wake Forest this year. Carlos Basham reminded me a lot of Cam Jordan. And I really did love that pickup, too, by the Bills, because you got two guys that, like, do have some higher floors, especially, or higher ceilings. No, Boogie Basham's got a bit higher of a floor, but both have pretty high ceilings, and Greg Rousseau obviously has almost no ceiling. But I did like the pick, though. I think, either way, you're going to have a star defensive end here with Epinesa or Basham, and potentially with Rousseau, too. So I did at least like the Basham pick, and I do really like Epinesa. So it's a room with, like, a mess starter right now, but you do have some fantastic young depth here, and I feel like one of them's got to work out. So for that, I'm going to give it a C+. At one of the outside linebacker room, I mean, it's 4-3 linebackers, so it doesn't really matter. We'll just group them together here. Matt Milano, they brought back on extension. I think they got him back for the right price, to be honest. I mean, you're seeing a lot of linebackers starting to get big contracts. Jerome Baker, for example, got completely overpaid. Now the Seahawks want to make Bobby Wagner the highest paid defensive player after making Jamal Adams the highest paid safety. Matt Milano, they got him on a great deal. So that was a great move on the Bills' part, getting him ahead of the linebacker market explosion. Tremaine Edmonds, pretty solid linebacker. I think he makes up one of the better duos in the NFL with Matt Milano there. And then A.J. Klein is also a pretty good linebacker as well. Not quite as good as the other two, but still pretty solid. And they do have some decent depth here. Andre Smith, Tyler Matakevich, and Markel Lee. Some notable guys there. You got some solid depth, one of the best linebacker duos in the NFL, and a solid guy there with Klein. I'm going to give that a B+. That's a pretty solid room across the board. Then at cornerback, Tre'Davious White, one of the elite premier corners in the NFL. He is great to have there, obviously. Starting across from him is where it gets a little concerning. Levi Wallace probably the guy starting across right now. I suppose you could use Teron Johnson, but I'd see him as more of the slot guy for the Bills here, because after those three, stuff gets really not good. Rashad Wildgoose, I feel like I remember him. I think he's a rookie. But I really can't tell you much about him, but I feel like I've seen his name before. But yeah, I mean, Tre'Davious White, one of the Premier League corners. Teron Johnson did show some solid flashes in the playoffs last year. We'll see if he shows anything else. Levi Wallace, not a very good number 2. Now, luckily, again, Tre'Davious White is elite, and that's great to have. But that other corner room, that's definitely concerning. And besides guard is easily the biggest question mark of this team. But either way, again, Tre'Davious White makes it at least a decent room. And with, the pass rush improved a little bit, but, there is a reason this team underperformed last year, or the defense underperformed last year. I mean, it's kind of scary to think about, like, how deadly this offense was, considering they were a 13-win team with a defense that just, again, was a little underwhelming. Tre'Davious White really shows that, he is one of the elite corners. So I'll give that room a B- for right now. It can definitely improve, and they should improve it this next offseason. Really this season if they can. Richard Sherman's available. But then moving on to the free safety, Micah Hyde, he is a pretty good safety. I had him in my top 10 safety rankings, and I was kind of surprised that not a lot of people really talked about it, because I thought maybe it'd be a bit of a hot take to have him as a top 10 safety. But I did, and I still agree with that. I think Micah Hyde is a pretty underappreciated guy. I think he did a lot for this defense, again, when the pass rush just wasn't that great, and did make up for, and will make up for, that lack of a number 2 corner. So that's great to have, obviously. And then Jordan Poyer, at strong safety, helps make up one of the best safety duos in the NFL. I'd say probably number 2 in the league. So yeah, I mean, you have one of the best safety duos in the NFL. No depth, but, I mean, these guys, they're really good. So, free safety, I'll give a B+, and strong safety I'll give a B. Safety room definitely helps out the fact that the pass rush is just not the best in the world, should be a little bit upgraded, but there's no true number 2 corner. But like I said, I do expect the pass rush to be at the very least improved, and who knows, I mean, maybe we have an Ed Oliver breakout year, maybe we have an Epineza breakout year, maybe Basham makes an immediate impact, maybe Rousseau makes an immediate impact, you know, who knows, there's a lot of good things to go right for this Bills defense. Even though it's not the best in the world, there's a lot in place here for stuff to work out and make this team really freaking scary. But yeah, overall, this defense, it has that potential, just not there quite yet, but someone could bring that up. And then special teams, Tyler Bass, one of the premier kickers in the NFL. He has been really solid, so the Bills have a legit kicker for once. And then they brought over Matt Hack, who is a solid punter for them. Return man, probably Isaiah McKenzie, although if he's hurt, you're looking at, I guess, Marquez Stevenson. And special teams itself is pretty okay for these Bills. So yeah, like I said, I mean, it really shows how scary this offense was considering the defense was just underwhelming. This defense, it is good. It has one of the best defensive coordinators, and we'll talk about that later. It has one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. And again, a lot of young star power here, and there's gonna be someone who breaks out this year, maybe even multiple people, and that could help make this defense near elite, which would mix with this offense. I mean, watch out for the Buffalo Bills. But now let's go take a look at their coaching culture and schedule. And taking a look here at their schedule, one of the things that definitely helps out the Bills here is the fact that they have a pretty easy schedule. Being the number 4 team in the NFL, games like the Steelers, the Dolphins, the Texans, Jaguars, Dolphins again, because of course the division rivalry, the Jets twice, the Saints potentially, Falcons, Panthers, Jets, again, those are going to be easy games. And there are a lot of tougher games here that are still definitely winnable, such as the Patriots twice, the Colts, again, the Saints, Washington, the Titans. And then you have the games like, the Buccaneers, the Titans, the Chiefs, even the Patriots, where those are hard games. But they are winnable for such a talented team with such a talented offense. So the schedule definitely helps out the Bills. Coaching, not an issue. I mean, Sean McDermott, one of the best coaches in the NFL. And you have 2 of the best offensive and defensive coordinators there. Brian DeBoll, I would expect to get a job any season now, really. I'd expect next season to be his time to get another shot at head coaching. But either way, I mean, you have, maybe the best coaching staff in the NFL. The culture is great here in Buffalo. It's all here for the Bills. Like at number 4, the only reason that they're at number 4 below 3 other teams, which I'm sure you can probably easily figure out what those teams are, is just because like running back is a bit of an issue for them right now that even could be solved this year. And their team does have a few holes with, guard and cornerback. Otherwise, this team is an insanely talented roster with incredible top-end talent, a great culture, a pretty easy schedule, to be honest. One of the easier divisions in football. They're easily the top team in their division. And they've got maybe the best coaching staff in the NFL. It is all there for the Bills to go in and look for their first Super Bowl title this year. But that is going to be the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. I got my editing software back. That's a yay. And hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see all you guys in the next video, which will hopefully be more soon than later.